Jason Castro, everybody. Now, Jason, did you ever think you'd spend 3 months talking about pitch framing?
No, I don't think I did, but it's been good though so far.
Every kid's dream growing up being the guy, that has to answer 600 questions about pitch framing.
Right. It wasn't even a thing until a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, but it's always been a thing for catchers. I mean, it's something that you work on as a 5th grade catcher all the way up to the system, but now it feels like information's available, and so fans and media get a hold of information and they become curious about it. Such nuances.
Right, I guess the way that you frame it, no pun intended.
Our puns are always intended on this stage.
Yeah. The way you kind of thought about it back then was like you just wanted to catch the ball well, and other than that, I mean, I don't know how much emphasis there was on much more than that. And up until a couple of years ago, when it really started becoming something that was focused on and there was a way to measure it, that's when it really kind of took off in popularity and kind of intensity as far as how much we pay attention to it and how much of a difference it can make.
Kind of the rest of defensive catching, because from what I've heard is that we love to focus on pitch framing, and now that it's become a little bit more mainstream, there are more people talking about stuff, but there must be so much more that goes into calling a game and leading a pitcher through an inning. What other things are your primary focuses when you're behind the plate?
One of the things that's probably the most time-consuming is just game planning and advanced scouting, getting ready for either that night's game or if you're off, preparing for the series ahead. But on any given day, the catcher spends the majority of his time, looking at scouting reports, watching video, trying to. We have meetings with the pitching coaches and pitchers for that day, going over our plan of attack, what we're trying to do that night, how that pitcher's strengths line up with the lineup that we're facing. So that preparation part is probably the majority of my job, other than actually catching the game.
In various events, when Derek Falvey has spoke, or even Thad Levine, your name comes up, there's always a connection with that they believe that you will be a huge impact in helping Jose Barrios, helping Kyle Gibson. Is it more than framing? You have, and not so much Gibson, he's been around a little bit, but more Barrios. What can you do directly to be an instant impact with a young pitcher who's got a tremendous season?
So I think my experiences with the Astros, kind of going through that whole rebuild that we did a few years ago, taught me a lot, and I had to work with a lot of young pitchers who were trying to establish themselves in the major leagues, and guys who had really good stuff, and for whatever reason were kind of not quite making the transition to the big leagues as successfully as they should have based on the quality of their stuff. So I think some of those experiences that I went through will kind of help just getting guys back on track in the game and getting them to not have to think too much. That's what I try to take over is, let me think about everything else that's going on and just try to give them little reminders throughout the game to get them back on track. And a lot of that starts in spring training, just getting to know the pitchers and what works for them and the things that they need to do to kind of stay in line.
You mentioned your time in Houston. I mean, you guys went from 100 losses multiple years in a row, and I think it was low 90s in losses, and then boom, one of the best teams in baseball the very next year. So what are some of the big picture things that you noticed from that 2 or 3 year transition to the overnight light switch moving on? And then how might they apply to the current situation with the Twins here?
So I think with the Astros, they needed at least a few years to try to rebuild the minor league systems, and we had a lot of high draft picks in the meantime. And just guys getting some maturity and experience at the big league level during that rebuild, and not really having the pressure to win right now. And I think that helped a few guys kind of make that transition a little bit smoother. And then we had some big time prospects come up and make a pretty big impact. But where I think the Twins kind of line up with the Astros are actually farther ahead than where the Astros were in the rebuild process. And I know last year was a down year for the Twins, but I know injuries played a part in that, and just knowing who's on the team and having played against them in the years past, the talent is definitely there already. it's not something where the Astros had to wait, 2 or 3 years to even get to that point. I think the Twins are already there, and I think if everybody can stay healthy and they just go the way that they should, I think the next few years will be special for the Twins.
Twins catcher Jason Castro is joining us, and you're kind of the new guy around here. Free agent signing early this winter. So tell us a little bit about yourself when you're not focusing on baseball or working out and doing all that stuff that everybody does in the winter. What are some of your favorite activities, things that you like to do with your time?
So we just had our son this last season, so getting to spend more time with him and some family time and stuff in the off season has been great. We've been up in the mountains and getting my first taste at snow shoveling a lot this off season, so that's been a blast.
There's more of that around here. Stick around, even in April or May, you might find some here.
So just working out and getting back in shape and just enjoying the time off, getting to see friends and family, things like that. So it's good.
Along those same lines, you spoke at a breakfast at Minneapolis Athletic Club on a Friday morning, and your own charity came up. For the folks who don't know about your charitable cause and your philanthropic look at things, tell them about it.
My wife and I started Castro's Kids in 2013, and it was something we started in Houston that we are now transitioning to the Twin Cities. It's a literacy-based foundation, and we focus on providing age-appropriate reading material to school districts and kids who are in need, and provide financial support and a grant program to librarians throughout school districts so that they can either implement new programs or continue programs that are on the verge of being cut. And we hold book fairs and do different things with the school districts to help kind of supplement either their libraries or existing programs that they have to promote literacy at the correct ages.
Why literacy? Why was that so key? And there's so many charitable causes and so many that are so worthwhile, but why did that one have such an impact with you?
My wife and I were fortunate to meet in college, and that was something that we realized pretty early on that our educational backgrounds, we were pretty fortunate to have the resources afforded to us at a young age, and we wanted to make sure that kids all over the country, and especially when we were in Houston and now here, have access to that, and literacy is such an important factor for success in adult life and later on, and so we wanted to make sure that kids had that kind of base in order to set themselves up for success moving on in their education careers.
That's a cool cause, and we appreciate you coming up telling us